What is EDM? EDM is an e-government application that standardizes and simplifies the cooperation between companies and the authorities with regard to legal obligations in the field of environmental protection. What is it all about? There are lots of legal regulations to be considered in the environmental sector. Regulations that ensure the protection of human health, soil, water and air. The basic regulations are laid down by the EU and have to be applied either directly or else incorporated into Austrian law. These regulations include specifications for approval procedures, technical specifications such as filter devices, emission limitations, specifications concerning the avoidance, collection, recycling or disposal of waste, and specifications concerning the monitoring and registration obligations of the operators and member states to the EU. Austria generates in total 53,500,000 tons of waste per year. All companies generate waste. Such waste must be given to authorized companies and transported, deposited, recycled, or disposed of properly. This sometimes involves cross-border transport. In order to ensure that such exports are not used simply to avoid environmental standards, they have to be approved in compliance with EU legislation, and each individual transport and final treatment of the waste must be registered. Very often, incinerators and large industrial plants also emit a significant amount of pollutants into the air and water. In addition to the regulations that also apply for other plants, the EU prescribes regular adjustment to the state of the art, regular controls and publication of approvals, emission notification and reporting of environmental inspections. This allows the general public an insight into the environmental impact of the plants. So, where is the problem? Although having to consider so many regulations is extremely time-consuming for both the companies concerned and the administrative authorities involved, it is nevertheless necessary for the protection of the environment and human health. How can EDM help? The clearly arranged, well-structured, and in part menu-guided design of EDM makes even complex processes manageable. Without electronic support, it would be almost impossible to manage the many requirements on a day-to-day basis. Regular environmental inspections, for example, can be carried out efficiently and need far fewer personnel. We have a few examples lined up for you to illustrate this. Who is behind EDM? EDM is an e-government tool that was developed by the Austrian Ministry of Life, Lebensministerium, in cooperation with the federal states over a period of many years. EDM creates clarity and legal certainty by supporting a uniform application of Austrian and European legislation in the environmental sector, thus making a major contribution to maintaining the high standard of Austrian environmental protection. Who is involved in EDM? EDM has a cross-administrative design. In other words, the federal government, federal states, district authorities, and other organizations can communicate directly with each other via this central e-government platform. So, EDM enables the integration of authorities at different administrative levels and with different areas of competence. This is important because there is often more than one authority responsible for the approval and registration procedures. Cross-administrative acts can be implemented simply or extensive controls managed jointly, thanks to the extensive possibilities EDM offers for communication between companies and the various authorities. Complete documentation of the processes is carried out in compliance with the strict legal requirements of e-government and Austrian data protection law. EDM is already used as a cross-state application. Some parts of it are used in cooperation with authorities in Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg and Switzerland, which of course makes cross-border cooperation a lot easier. The EDM program is used actively in several European and international work groups who are preparing the way for and promoting interoperability with other European and international e-government systems. Is EDM a cloud application? EDM is an extremely extensive and complex software-as-a-service application. It can be accessed on the Internet via standard protocols, is neither bound to any specific terminals, nor does it require any local installation. Provision of the service is automatic, needing no interaction with the operator of EDM. All resources and data are freely available for the many users in the form of a pool. Of course, being an e-government application means that the data are stored exclusively in data centers in Austria. All EDM services are available quickly and flexibly, giving users the impression that the resources are unlimited. For the most part, the EDM services are offered to users free of charge, because EDM is an e-government application. Access and export of data is carried out in compliance with the strict requirements of data protection. There are, however, a series of XML interfaces available for the import and export, so that highly automated processes can also be supported by EDM. This makes EDM a cloud application in the classic sense of the NIST definition. Who uses EDM? EDM contains environmentally relevant information from over 45,000 registered companies. In addition, around 1,500 employees in various administrative authorities work with EDM. EDM is used in 4 federal ministries: Health, Finance, the Interior, and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Environment and Water Management, as well as by all the federal states and district authorities in Austria. Around 800,000 registrations a year are submitted in EDM, consisting in part of several thousand datasets, and current statistics show that in total over 20 million people access EDM annually. What do all these users do with EDM? EDM applications can be used for the complete waste management process. It is of particular interest for users in companies that generate, transport, recycle, or dispose of waste. The many obligations of these companies, such as those concerning the recycling of waste electrical equipment, batteries and packaging, for example, are supported by EDM. Applications from companies can be created, collected and viewed, taking data protection requirements into consideration. Emission reports are also published in EDM. Where waste to be deposited at waste disposal sites is concerned, the complete documentation from the generation of the waste to expert reports, the selection of suitable sites, and on through to entry inspection at the site is carried out in EDM. An example of an EDM application? Here's an example for the use of EDM. A company that generates waste hands over information concerning the origin of the waste to an assessor. The assessor inspects the waste and then searches in EDM for the names of the waste disposal sites suitable for depositing this type of waste. The owner of the waste then selects a waste disposal site and sends the expert report that he receives from the assessor for his waste to this site in advance. So the site knows what kind of waste it will be receiving in advance and can carry out a plausibility test even before the waste arrives. The EDM supports the site operator here with a traffic light system and control guidelines. This all takes place in documented form in EDM. So, once the waste actually arrives, all the operator has to do is carry out visual inspections and tests on random samples to check whether the waste does in fact comply with the expert report. The outcome is a properly run waste disposal site and the protection of the general public from harmful impacts on water and air. Another example? Here's another example of what can be achieved thanks to EDM. In many cases, companies receive official notifications from several competent authorities for water, air and waste. Until now, these were different in structure and content. Over the years, the company changes. It changes its activities and the statutory framework conditions as well. The company then applies for new official notifications. This usually involves a lot of official notifications for larger companies. It is very difficult to take all of these into account, so a company can easily lose the overview of its obligations. EDM makes the time-consuming comparison and summarization of these various official notifications far simpler by providing the company and the authority with all the latest applicable notifications at the press of a button. This saves a lot of time and makes it far simpler for companies to be sure they are operating within the law. How do public administrations benefit? Things are also far simpler for the authorities as well. They no longer have to check through great piles of paper documents because everything can now be done in EDM. The application of the waste collector, the expert report from the assessor, checking whether applications are complete, submitted in time, and whether they conform with the legal requirements. The search for discrepancies or abuses is now carried out in EDM, which makes the work far more effective and saves a great deal of time. How do companies benefit? EDM is an enormous advantage for companies. If a company involved in waste management uses EDM, it can be sure that all of the administrative work is effected correctly and in compliance with the law. It has just one portal for all notifications and can monitor what is happening with its waste at any given time. This ensures equal treatment and fairness for all concerned. EDM is also a practical tool for companies when it comes to gathering information, because they can find the right landfill or a suitable waste disposal company for their very own waste very quickly. Until now, it was extremely difficult to get a complete overview in this respect, but EDM has changed all that. With just a few clicks of the mouse, you can find all the locations of waste treatment plants. You can find all waste disposal companies and landfills, as well as what you can deposit there. What plans are there for EDM in the future? The first extensive refactoring of EDM is currently in the planning. This should be completed by 2014. The aim of this refactoring, which is being carried out parallel to operation, is to further simplify and integrate many functions of the program and to make the system even more user-friendly. And what about the environment? EDM is a modern e-government tool that uses IT to make the many procedures involved in waste management and environmental protection in general more transparent. Discrepancies are detected more easily thanks to the cross-application evaluations. In other words, the introduction of EDM has made it more difficult to dispose of waste improperly or to cover up dubious emissions. This prevents environmental pollution and means fairer framework conditions for all companies. Where are the cost-saving benefits? EDM is ideally suited as a control instrument for the traceability of waste management and environmentally relevant activities. It makes it easier for the administration to enforce laws, offers better control possibilities, and more efficient procedures. This in turn enables a significant reduction in unlawful behavior. Only since the introduction of EDM has it been possible to collect and evaluate the enormous amount of data systematically. EDM in a nutshell. EDM supports the users concerned with their statutory registration, notification and reporting obligations. This in turn reduces the administrative burden for users and the authorities alike, while also helping to achieve an even better environmental standard. Are there any videos showing the use of EDM in practice? There are another 2 short videos. In one video, you can see how the search for approved waste collectors is carried out in EDM. A very interesting second video shows you a practical application of EDM. A tunnel is being built, and the enormous amounts of material resulting from the drilling process are to be deposited in a neighboring country. The video demonstrates how EDM is used here.